Hey guys, thanks for checking out the Bucked Up Podcast. If you wouldn't mind just hitting the subscribe button, like, sharing the video, we have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday. Enjoy.
It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you have fucked up.
So Skis was the reason you rap?
Shout out Jay Skis, yeah.
Shout out Jay Skis.
I don't know if Skis and the crew kids on Andover and Buffalo don't be like, yo, Deuce, you from Brooklyn, you rap. I was visiting my grandmother for the summer and they like, yo, you rap, spit something.
In Buffalo?
Yeah. I would that's where my family's from. That's where my mother and my father's from. And he was in prison when I was born. And my mother remarried and moved to Brooklyn. But I spent all my summers like with my family and shit there. And so it was just one summer. And my grandmother lived on Andover. Skis lived on that block. And I don't even know if he was Skis at the time or whatever we was going by. But they was like, yo, you from Brooklyn, you rap, spit something. And I spit something. And like I remember the joy of like saying something crazy off the top. Motherfuckers being like, oh. And like that, you know what I mean? Like that was the high. And then like, I think like Ski's mom crib, like they had rigged up some type of recording scenario and we would just be there like every day, like just rapping. You know what I'm saying?
How
and,
old
like,
were you?
Like 11, 12. And so to just like be around that and see that. And then I remember, cause then I go back home and like I'd be in Brooklyn and then I thought I was nice and I'd go get in the ciphers and like, really get the blade sharp and like figured out how to like make my own little recordings and shit. Cause based on like what they was doing, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, and I thought it was cool. Like they just had a crew. They was rapping every day, going places rapping, you know what I mean? Rapping in backyards, just MCing like for the love of it.
And you had Love on your shit too.
Shout out Love. Yo, my cousin Destiny would not let me live this down if I didn't mention it. Apparently, Love and I are like cousins or somehow, like my cousin is her cousin.
Oh shit!
I'll put it like that. But Buffalo's a small place, so that's entirely possible. But as a human being, as an individual, as a talent, and that we got to work together, and there's footage on the internet of this dope session that we had, and like, it was dope. We was just going like kind of toe to toe, but like we made a dope like song. Like it wasn't just a bar thing. Like we wanted to do something like about black love, and so like we was just going back and forth. Like she go in the booth, do 4 to 8 bars. I go in the booth, do 4 to 8 bars, bounce the idea off of each other. Be like, oh, that's how you come in, and then I mean, so like. And I got to work. It's crazy to me in particular. And if you go, it's a thing on YouTube called How to Make an Album, that we did for Midnight Orbis. And there's a scene where it's Skis and it's Love in the studio. And this is like maybe a month or two before they both get signed to drum work. And it was just, you know what I mean? I'm looking back on how dope it was that one, like, Skis is the homie, but I'd also just seen the talent and where like the energy was going. And him and Love would just happen to be like vibing already off each other energy, and like seeing them in the lab together and seeing just like, I think we had The Last Dance on over at Bridge and shit. So like, yeah, shout out Love.
That's a fucking great track. But I'm so fucking happy Conway signed different types of artists. Like Skis and Love are so different than like not what you'd expect. And then shout out Shots. And also Free D Rose. Shout out D Rose, past guest.
Word.
I was real upset when I heard that. But I was so happy he signed fucking like.
Yeah, shout out to what they're doing at drum work. Shout out my guy Chad Frigid over there. I was literally just chilling with some homies that know Chad through other channels, through his brother and shit. But yeah, seeing what Conway's doing, the energy that is, and I feel like that was like most appropriate. I feel like that showed really the genius and how tuned in the machine is. Cause like if you was really paying attention to who was like rocking the city and where the like high level spittry was, it was Skis and Love. Like it was That was a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not even a question.
So do you consider yourself like a Buffalo rapper at all? Like you came up growing up in Buffalo.
Yo, you're the first person that's ever asked me that. And if I'm honest, it's probably one of those things that I've had to deal with, and even in feeling like imposter syndrome. What I'll say is, like I said, because I didn't grow up in Buffalo, right, and I didn't go to school there, but I did grow up in Buffalo, and I did go to school there at the same time, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like more than anything, if you've ever heard the term Buffalo Kid and what that represents, even beyond like, you know, the store that West built, I feel like I'm a Buffalo Kid because all those kids is my homies, and like there was so much inspiration that we you know, but partially because like it's hot right now.
Yeah.
I don't even want to take that you know what I mean? Like it's something that I didn't want to like attach myself to because it was like hot and prevalent, and that's like an end thing.
Well, the reason I ask you that is because I want to, and I ask everyone who's affiliated with it, because it is a different scene, is like not what is it about Buffalo, but like you were in it from the beginning. Like you grew up, like, was it always different? Why is that such a different place than anywhere else?
So
artistically, I won't even say musically.
On that, and I feel like I'm special equipped to speak on this because I did. I seen the dichotomy between like what it's like coming up in New York City, and then how people in Buffalo even view New York City and how it feels to be a forgotten city or an overlooked city. And even the way that the finances in New York State is set up, that most of the resources go to New York City, and then like Buffalo gets, you know what I mean, like the shit end of the stick on that note. So and I love like having seen the difference between both, which is part of why when you ask specifically, do I feel like I'm a Buffalo rapper? No. But if you ask like what makes Buffalo like a super special place, I can really speak on that because I've seen it from like being an insider and an outsider. And what it is, man, you got to think, one, just geographically, how close Buffalo is to Toronto, to Detroit. New York City is this glaring, distant presence, right? Ohio is close. You know what I'm saying? This is a small market town that has like a major football team still. So there's like all these elements that bring a lot of energy to the town. There's a lot of like being able to go to Toronto because it's an hour and some change away. Just being able to cross the border and be in like a whole different country.
But was it always as dangerous and as...
For as long as I've known,
Yeah.
You gotta understand, like,
because when I go there, I love Buffalo, and I've been there, and I love it, and I haven't spent but it is how people describe, like it is.
So here's the thing, and this is a story. If you familiar with Detroit at all, the same thing. It's that Buffalo's an even smaller city. So there's a time where, like I said, you would think it should be a super prosperous city. It's water. It's got port access. It's close to the border. It's close to a lot of major cities, and that really did make the town a popping place for a while. And it was one of those blue collar cities where, like, you know, people could build like a life and have the American dream. And then, you know, not to get super political, but just you follow the timeline around the same time that all the jobs and like factory jobs that didn't require like, you know, high level college education or like high level access barriers of entry that provided like great means of living. Those jobs went overseas, and at the same time that those jobs went away, the crack cocaine epidemic happened. And you know, it only takes something like that to ravage a generation, destroy a city, and then once a city has a reputation, it, you know what I mean, that spiral then goes upon itself. So yeah, the poverty has been there, the crime has been there, the level of despair has been there, and I think when you hear the term Buffalo Kids, and part of what makes this particular era and moment so special, and you feel it, it's something even beyond specifically Griselda. Now that you're seeing light get shined on the whole city, and a lot of people are like going there and meeting a lot of like the movers and the shakers, they're really seeing like the super special kind of magic on the inside. And what it is a lot of kids who, despite these circumstances and despite how the vibe was, decided, so what? We lit. we got our own culture. We got our own unique things. Like the pizza there is different. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they say their words and they carry their R's is different. The access to like Toronto being an international, multinational kind of city, and that's a little closer than New York City is different. So then even you got to think, because all things trickle down, as Toronto became a more prominent city, that also helps just shine more light and bring love. But these kids all decided that like we would defy the odds, that people would create art on their own means. You know what I mean? That like we'd figure out ways to make shit happen. And I think that spirit is really what is like making it so attractive and making it so magnetic. And then at the same time, you know, resources are starting to trickle into where they're beautifying certain parts. And you know, that helps. But when I look ground level, it's the kids, man. It's the cats who like, y'all turn my house into, you know, an art space. I'll turn my house into a studio. I'll figure it out.
It's not just music. It's the
it's
art. It's the clothing. It's the, like, shout out Skis again, but shout out his clothing line. Like,
yeah, brown not black. Shout out Esco. Esco come to mind heavy. Energy wise,
another great track, the one you guys have together.
Yo, Esco's on that too. Shout out to him, energy wise, for just being a leader, being provocative. It takes a certain type of energy to do things that's ahead of the time, and not be understood in the moment, and know that like the work that you're doing is generational. You know what I'm saying? And like, be so, like I said, to just be so far ahead of the swag that motherfuckers don't even understand and take time to interpret. So I think that's what people are seeing. And now that there's like light being shined on it, and there's a platform, and you know all these different like media outlets are coming and they're checking it out. And then I'll even boil it down to like, if you want to, like, you really want to know Buffalo, look at CG. Look at the heart.
Shout out CG. I know he's listening right now.
Look at the heart of that motherfucker, man. Like proof that like pure, honest work, networking, and being committed to the craft and being committed to this culture will do things for you.
We were talking about this earlier with a friend who's has a podcast, and he's in a predicament where he doesn't want to keep going. And it really does, and CG does embody this, but it really does, like, and all of Buffalo does, the, like, 10,000 hours. Fucking put your work in. Like,
yeah.
The reason I get inspired so much by them and by the comedians I do is who puts in the most work. Like,
that's it.
I do 2 episodes a week of this just because I want to get to my 10,000 hours faster than anybody else. Like, that's... And fucking everyone I talk to has been said CG's been going to shows and supporting and loving forever. And he's killing it. Like, to see him written up in Rolling Stone.
Yo, listen. And you first, and you can attest to this, right? And a lot of people attest to this. My stoop is legendary. And if you come by my crib in Bed-Stuy, so many people have, like, slept on a couch or in a room or some shit. But I remember specifically, I seen, because I started following CG when he was putting his work in. And I just seen this cat who kept popping up. He was at shows. He was showing, and like that, he was like, the fact that I seen that, like, yo, he's showing up at everyone's show and showing love before he's asking for anything, was like incredible. Like, I knew what that meant. You know what I'm saying? And so I seen that he had a bad experience staying in New York, and I just reached out and I was like, yo, if you ever in New York again, like, my crib is open to you. I want you to be able to come out here and like move around. And so since then, whenever he come through, like, yo, like, even when we was at Supply and Demand, it was like, yo, stay for a week. Let's make music. You know what I mean? Like, do your thing, move around the city. You know what I'm saying? Like, get out of your town, get your head right. And I've seen over the course of like 2-3 years, like, someone really work and transform themselves. And you guys see, like, every time that he'll come back for another trip, I get to see kind of up close. Like, you know, you follow the progression online or whatever, but then like someone come and they kick it with you for like 3 days to a week, and you really get to see how much someone grow as a man and as like dedicated to their craft. And so like, and
loves it. It's a passion. Like, it's a passion.
Yeah, and he let his culture. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always got to be made sure that this culture is kept in like the right hands, and CG's a motherfucker that'll always like take care of the culture, and make sure that shit is preserved and honored and respected, and the greats to respect it. That's crucial. So yeah, protect CG at all costs. Shout out to my brother, man.
Shout out CG. And he's talented as shit. On top of that,
fucking, do you know? I say the G is for genius. C genius. That's
his
what I call it.
His beats are so insane, and I'm happy that he's getting recognized on a national scale. As I said before, written about in Rolling Stone. Like, fucking, when I was 16, I got in a bad hockey accident to try to impress a girl. And I had a level 5 out of 5 concussion. And I had to lay in a dark room for a month. I couldn't listen to music. I couldn't watch TV. All I did was listen to stand-up and podcasts. And then when I finally got better, I started going to comedy shows. And I went every week. And I met all these, like, I don't know if you know who Sam J is.
Nah.
She has an HBO show called Pause. She has a Netflix special. Like, when I was 16, she was... Like, she was so nice to me. And now she's, like... And that's what I love about CG is because, like, I see that, like... It's a passion, and that's fucking what it is. Like, that's also what it is. When someone's gonna quit something, it's like... Do you have passion for it? Is it, like... Like, you've been rapping since you were a little kid in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And now look at... I mean, honestly, look at, like, where you are, where we are in this space right now. Like...
Yeah, this is nuts.
Wait, remember talking to the microphone.
Oh, yeah, live from the CC88 Gallery, which is amazing. Cult Classics 88, just expanding into a space. And what's dope about this, I did this course with FIT for sneakers and, like, business and shit. And one of the assignments was like to imagine like if you had like a space, and I did it, wrote out the concept, drew out a floor plan, forgot about the shit. You know what I mean? Like submitted the assignment, smoked the blunt, kept going. When I'm like in this space, I was in here probably like 4 or 5 times, like on some other shit. And then one time I'm in here alone and like the brain muscles just click and it was like, yo, wait. And I like went and dug up the like assignment and the picture of the floor plan, and it was this shit. And so like, yo, if you want some shit, write it down.
You believe in omens and shit and
yeah, all that good stuff.
Your album is called Acid, and I feel like this is a shitty way to get into it.
Nah, let's dive in.
Were you always connected, like, or do you feel like hallucinogens played a part in that?
Always connected. But the story of how I did hallucinogens for the first time is like evidence of that connection. So like the first time that I did mushrooms, leading up to it, I was on tour, and I was touring from one side of the country from east to west, and I planned on living in California at the end.
How old are you?
Like 22.
Oh wow. So you were older.
Huh?
You were older.
For my first like hallucination,
yeah.
I guess.
Older than I expected of you.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I assumed because your album was named Acid, like since you were young, like you were tripping. Like I probably tripped for the first time when I was 19 or 20.
Wow. Okay. No, I was like 22.
But that's 22. Still young.
It is.
I'm 24 right now, so you have to understand that's like 2 years ago. Like,
oh, yeah, I'm 33.
Okay, you look good as shit for 33.
Thank you. I appreciate
diet?
That. Huh?
Plant-based diet?
That helps a lot. But so as I'm like going from east to west, and it's in my mind to do mushrooms, right? And everywhere that I go, there just starts to be like signs. Like we stop at like one place and I turn on the TV and there's a documentary special about mushrooms. We're in another city, flick on the radio, NPR special about mushrooms and the benefits of hallucinating, right? And this becomes like a recurring theme to the point where it's like it's not the same like thing neither. Like it's different shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And then as I'm like getting to California, the homie who I'm gonna stay with, I'm like, yo, I'm thinking about tripping, and I've been seeing all this shit about mushrooms or whatever. And his response is, I have a jar this big full of mushrooms, and I've been waiting for somebody to do them with. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's so like when you say like was I connected or whatever, like, or was it the hallucinogens? Was I connected to the hallucinogens? You know?
Yeah.
And then that experience in California, like I'm in Santa Monica for the first time, and I see like the pier lit up, like tripping fucking face, like floating, you know.
Do you remember how much you took?
An eighth. At least.
That's a good amount for your first time.
Yeah. Oh.
I took like 2 grams, had a panic attack. Loved it.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like I don't know. I've always been like chill about substances, and so mushrooms was just another one to try.
You're like, you gotta. This is all allegedly. You gotta explain to me acid.
The album, or doing acid?
Both. Explain to actually. Can you combine the two?
I've had acid and mushrooms together, and I love both.
There's a special term for that, right?
Was it hippie tripping?
Maybe
like that. I call it Deuce Ellising. Actually,
let's start that.
The person who I did acid with for the first time, it's actually her birthday today. So shout out to her.
Shout out her. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Before we start, can we take a poll in this room? Mushroom or acid room? Mushroom. Shroom. Acid. Mushroom. I'm not going to wake her up.
Both.
But Deuce Ellis thing.
Yeah. I enjoy them individually for different reasons, but both together is in my experience just like super smooth, super vibey. Balances out the negatives. Probably gonna like get away. You were saying like Portland, Maine, right?
Yeah.
I love Portland, Maine. Probably not on this tour trip. I wanna like. So the last time that I tripped, shout out to D-Spliff who did the cuts on acid. So we'll keep this.
Oh, really?
We'll keep this tied in.
Keep it connected.
And so when he came to do the cuts on the album, he blesses me with this like Altoid, and he's like, "Yo, this is some strong shit," and it's like double dipped in this strong shit. It's a gift. I'm like, thank you, D-Spliff. And I was like, I'm gonna save this for like, you know,
a special occasion.
Yeah. And like months passed. I kept wondering, you know what I mean? Like, is this the time? And then the time happened. It was just the time. And dude, that shit had me so. I felt like, you know, those episodes of Ren and Stimpy. I don't know if like when they were like fucked up. Yeah. I ain't even. Yeah. Like that was just life. Like. It was a great trip, but it was so fucking intense. It was so goddamn fucking intense. The album was done. It was set to come out. I think like it was a week before like the Billboard was gonna go live. I had like the clothes and the shoes, and I remember there was a point where like I had on like the full like acid fit that I like designed, and like I'm like it was surreal. It was really surreal though, and like I think I played like that Makami album, and you gotta remember like
Pray for
Haiti joint, and like it's
shout
Monk
out CG
and CG on there, and remember like those are my brothers, like, and
you have the whole project with Monk.
Yeah,
That's killer.
Yeah, and then like even for Midnight Ouroboros, like if you see the footage, like a lot of the creation of that is just Monk and CG in the room with me. Even when like we all made shit together, and there's like a beat or two that's like me, Monk, and CG that y'all just ain't heard yet, cause you know, but like they're both like co-producers across the album, and just so like having like seeing both of them in the room together, and like we've all vibed, and like those are like my brothers, and I got love for them. And I've been in the studio with Wes and with Monk, and I've seen how Wes work, and I've seen Wes go through like packs of beats for CG and packs of beats for Monk, and just sit and
CG sends him like 45 beats at a time.
No, listen. I've seen Monk. One time Monk was at my crib, and
Did you guys just grow up together?
Monk?
How'd you meet Monk?
Nah. I knew. Actually, like there was a time where like we were doing shows in Buffalo, and like we would be on a lot of the same bills, and we were just like different crews, and just I don't know, we just never really spoke, but like had like a lot of mutual respect. And then I think as we both evolved into producing, we was just at a show that was in Buff. That show was fucking legendary. Shout out to Tony Boy for throwing that show. That show had on the bill, it was Rome Streetz, Jamal Gasol, Deuce Ellis, Benny was a special guest. Riggs was a special guest. Monk was there, and I'm missing somebody, but
That is an insane lineup.
and like this is like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So like,
Okay, that's right when I was getting into Buffalo.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Reject 2 was the first project I've ever heard.
Reject 2 is probably like just out. Like, you know what? This is
Yeah.
before Benny dropped not even the plugs, but Tana Talk 3.
Yeah, that was. This is way before
This,
that.
yeah, this is before. This is like way early. So like, but that night was super special. And like I said, that night was special because that's probably when Monk and I connected. And the same thing, like he was in New York, needed a place to be. Cold Classics compound. So you know what I mean? A lot of people come through the compound. The studio's there. There's space for people to chill. Neighborhood's dope. Move around the city. You know what I'm saying? And he stayed there a couple of times. And one of those trips, we ended up, there's this thing called the Brooklyn Synth Expo. And like they bring like all the synthesizers and guitar pedals and gear. And it's just one big room of like all these fucking gadgets and gizmos and like toys. And so like, I love going to that shit. Like I go to that shit every year, like a big ass kid, like in a toy store. And like Monk's here, and I'm like, yo, dude, like you gotta come. Like this shit is the shit. And so like he comes with me, and like you know this shit is like sensory overload. Like but I buy some shit.
Yeah.
Like long story short, like I buy some like fly shit, and now it's time to like use that shit. And so we just start cooking up like beats. Like I had the studio in the kitchen for whatever. I felt like at the time, right? I felt like it'd be dope to make beats and cook food. Like, no,
Action Bronson style.
I didn't even think of it like that. Like I'd just be making beats and having to go to the kitchen, and I hated having to like stop to like, you know what I mean? And I was like,
Shout out great producer and rapper Shamil Kumar. Shamil. He has his whole production studio set up in his kitchen. Wow. And he does that shit.
Yeah. I did that for a while. And then I just got over it. I stay moving around like creatively. Like right now, I have the MPC in here, and I've just been coming here and like when no one's here and like making beats by myself with like the lights out. But we'll get to that another time. So Monk is there, and we end up just cooking up. But no, we didn't grow up together specifically. But I've known them Buffalo kids. You know what I'm saying?
Kids, yeah.
And then like you gotta think like Esco and my DJ Tiger were tight, and Esco and I got to know each other, and then like him and Monk's cousins, and then like Monk and Ski's been tight, and I've known Skis for forever, and then like we all did shows around like times together. So you know what I mean? Like you see faces a lot, and then we started like you know working together and being on the scene a lot, and just being able to provide each other with like opportunities and vibes and shit. So,
Did you keep going with music the entire time, like from a little kid, or was there a time where you like stopped and then got back into it?
Probably. You know what I mean? Like, sure, I've just lived life at times, but like, so definitely.
I mean,
like,
is there like a moment that you're like, all right, that's when I took it seriously. That's when I like became the professional.
probably like last year or so, where after Camo Ellis came out on vinyl and it like sold out, and people like marched to it during George Floyd, and they posted that, and it just I had never really like. I'm not to say that I'd never seen my music like change lives, but I just never seen something like that felt the way that felt. And then I did Orbis, and that was probably like the most just fun that I had. And I was in a dark place too. Like a lot of things in life like went hayward during like the start of the end of the world thing or whatever. And music really got me out of it. And not, it wasn't just getting me out of it, but it was like being of service and making like music that was a service, like got me out of it. So, yeah, I don't know. Probably before that, I had been moving slower for a while. I felt like, I wouldn't say that I wasn't taking it as seriously, but it wasn't as urgent. Like in these last few like over the last year and last few months, like it felt like I needed every day to like work and crack at and create and like push through and
I
whatever.
think it's the perseverance of if you got shit done over this time.
Yeah,
I was in a really dark place right before, and shit, I mean, you said you've never done DMT, and that's not the main reason.
Well,
but I smoked DMT, and I wanted to start this podcast, and I went through a bad time, and all those things came together, and now we're here talking to each other.
and it works like that sometimes too. And like I'm aware of that. One of my favorite Lauryn Hill speeches is about the peaks and the valleys, right? And you know, if you read anything, I don't know, Robert Greene comes to mind. As soon as you're up, right, and you're up top, Lauren speaks on how a lot of people want to stay on that particular up, not realizing that like part of life is that you go back down through the muck in some form or another so that you can climb back up. And ideally you go down gracefully and you bring as much wisdom from your current mountaintop with you. And if you go down gracefully, it's not as much of a fall as much as just you understand nature. Because I mean, autumn happens, right? Winter happens. Like there's a season for retreating. There's a season for things dying so that they can be reborn, right? So, you know, I was grateful, I guess. Like I said, like it was dark just because the sun wasn't out, if that makes sense, you know. But that also just meant, you know, fertile ground for new creation, for new life. And so I just hope that passes on to anybody who happens to catch it, that like it's not unnatural to go through, and there's nothing wrong with you sometimes when like life takes turns. It's not life being mean or unfair or like why is life being like this? Like, nah, it's just part of like the cycles of nature. Like it rains.
So this, just bear with me for it. I love riding my bike, and I was riding my bike the other day, and I ate shit, and I fell real hard on the bike path. I fucking scraped my hand open. Yeah, I might have to be on antibiotics from it because it went so deep and shit. I scraped up my whole back and shit. I got fucked up, but it didn't hurt that much. It didn't hurt that much, and I get scared to fall because I'm worried how much it's gonna hurt. And I think that's fucking emotional pain, anything where it's like we're more scared of the idea of the actual pain of it than what the pain actually is. If that made, like, because once it happened, I was like, oh shit, that hurt, but that's not even nearly as bad as what I imagined the pain of falling off the bike would be. And I think that's the same thing emotionally, like, fucking getting dumped, when you get your like heart broken, you think, oh shit, there's never gonna be a time where it's like gets better, but you're like, no, once you get through it, you realize that's how you get bigger and better, and the pain isn't nearly as bad as what you imagine that idea to be.
That's why I like getting tattoos. You know what I mean? Because again, you think it's gonna hurt. You think that it's like gonna be this terrible thing, and then you get it, and there's actually like something therapeutic about being able to just like zenfully endure the pain. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a space where you get to, you're just like, you know what, too, bro? I broke my leg when I was like 11, like snapped it in half. I thought that I could do a hurricane rana off of like the top of the slide onto somebody unsuspecting, and I landed on their shoulders perfectly, but they were not prepared, and they buckled under my weight, and then they fell on top of me, falling on top of them, falling on top of my leg, and it broke like viciously. And it took me like 18 months to be able to walk again. It was like 11 months in a cast, and then like another like 6 months in the whatever the other thing is, and like therapying my leg. Like my leg was like the size of like a person's arm when it came out. But I say all that to say, like, moments like that, you understand and appreciate that, like, I don't know, pain isn't that permanent. It's part of life. You learn the healing process, you know?
That's why, I'm a very anxious person and a very self-hating person. And I feel like that's what pushes me. And it's funny, when I trip...
Most comedians are.
When I take mushrooms, I know there's going to be a time where I have to deal with those questions. And everyone who's... I don't know if not everyone, but if you've tripped, you kind of understand. And I kind of like the pain of that. I like the pain of having to prove to myself that I'm worth it.
Wow.
Even though I know that's going to be the challenge I have every time.
You know what happens for me tripping? This is completely different. It's the art of control through letting go. You know what I mean? Like, that's usually where my trips take me. It's like, yo, let go. And like, because like the real magic is like, you set intention peacefully and gently, and you set that upon the universe, and then you just do the action and you let it happen. We're usually wound up pretty tight and feel like there's and like you can't really control the invisible stuff physically anyways. You kind of just, tripping helps with that for me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm just a bit more in tune with the notion that the invisible stuff is doing what the fuck it's supposed to be doing.
So you do that hurricane jump off someone to break your leg. That is your probably... There's a reason I'm saying this. That means that growing up you probably had, and I don't want to speak for you, were you like an angry person?
Nah.
No, were you always calm and chill? Because it's funny, I will say that I'm an angry person and I deal with anger, and people are like, oh my God, what? And I feel like that is what I assume you, because doing that shit, I was like, oh, maybe he was like...
No, I was being a big ass kid. Like, I thought like I was Rey Mysterio Jr. or something.
All right.
Like, I thought
then I assumed wrong, and I'll go fuck myself.
No, it's okay. I
was just trying to relate.
I legit, but no. The thing is, most people when they meet me, they think that I am like a mean like person. Like,
no, I don't think you're a mean person.
I've gotten that so many times. Or like that, like, you know.
You seem like a person who got like an enlightened person.
I appreciate
because you're chill.
I appreciate
and you give off good energy and vibes of just like happiness and chill. When I met you at Supply and Demand, when I walked in here.
You know what's wild? They never tell what happens to the Buddha after he finds enlightenment. Like, the story kind of ends there. And that was annoying as fuck to me. Because I was like, do you know how annoying it is to like live like an enlightened life in theory? Like, and still like, you know, like be on earth? Like the story ends there. Like, and then he's not really like the dude no more. He's this like metaphorical figure. Like,
but don't you think, okay, so like when I did, and I've talked about this on the podcast and we talked about this before. But when I did mushrooms, I mean, not mushrooms, I did DMT, and I met the Buddha when I talked to him.
Yeah.
I see that as like, and he told me I knew what I needed to do, and he was happy and he was laughing, and it was kind of like, yeah, once you realize you can put your hands in the safety of the universe, then you're free to do what you really want.
I think that's what happened to the Mayans, man. Like,
Explain.
I think they just got enlightened and then they like vibrated at a level that wasn't physical no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like collectively, like they collectively had their energy vibrating on a high, and like that took them out of here. I you know what I mean? Because like it's probably the one like plight of humanity. It's hard to get people to all work together, and especially on like esoteric matters. Maybe like church. Church is good for that, but church always gets corrupted by like.
Well, all right.
People.
I used to I had this really high thought once, and it sounds like a high thought, so that's why I am.
When you say high
prefacing
thought,
for that.
you meant like high.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like
when I'm
high for a
stoned.
second,
But
like
it's
elevated.
also that.
Okay,
Where
it
it's
can
like
be both.
Church. Church was the first place where music could be heard. Like religious ceremonies is where music
You
was.
think so? I feel like music was in the streets.
I feel like it was religious ceremonies because I feel like it was a control.
Nah, because
That's a playing with time.
People were banging on like the wall. But I get what you mean in terms of like organized music or musicians being paid.
Well, I would say I don't even mean like a Christian church or like I mean like just spiritual.
Just the ceremony.
The
of people.
ceremony, yeah, and that's why
Music is church like that though.
Yeah.
So I get that because if you've ever
it's
seen
a manipulation of time.
Ooh. If you've ever seen music just happening, people will just gather. And then like if music's happening and people are interacting with it, damn, that's one thing I've been like a little stiff with that. Maybe it's because I'm not used to performing around people again. But like music when you're interacting with the people, it's alive. That's why it's live music. You know what I mean? Because like
that's what I feel is different about comedy, but the same.
No,
because when you're good, because bad comedy, I feel like is like worse than because anyone can talk, and seeing someone talk bad is like because you're like I could even talk better than that. With music, even if it's bad, someone might be like, well, I can't be as good as that. But with comedy, it's literally talking. But when you get to good comedy, when you realize you can connect with an audience, then it is musical because it's a conversation between you and the audience.
If I'm being honest, I am in awe of comedians.
I'm in awe of musicians. I'm in awe.
I feel like we share that as a trait, and it's part of why there's a relationship between comedians and musicians. And I did a show with a comedian, and I was having this conversation because there's definitely levels, and in all lines of entertainment, right? There are definitely like levels to the artistry to where it becomes poetic or you're not transcendent, right? And comedy in particular, like there's things like just combining timing and vulnerability with like boldness and just you know what I mean, and like all the elements that come together that work into a genius set or just genius moments. And how much preparation also goes into that, like just because I'm sure for you doing the podcast just helps you like with talking more and having words come, you know what I mean, like that's a part of it too, is just keeping your conversational fucking muscle going. And like
I feel like comedy got so much better when I did the podcast. It's like you learn how to like listen, which is an actual skill.
Wow. Yeah, that's valid. That's super valid. And so yeah, just seeing like obviously at this point Dave Chappelle has hit a level of comedic genius. And I honestly like Killing Him Softly and the stand-ups that he did before that, I didn't feel like I felt like he was funny, but I didn't feel like those were very funny stand-ups. And that a lot of his jokes were in a certain realm. There was a lot of black and white stuff that was like cool, but I just felt like there was more from Dave. And like seeing where he's been at as of late. Have you ever seen this is one of my favorite shits, man. He's like at a comedy club. It's like on YouTube, and it's like from like years ago. He was still like, he had just gotten back into the groove of things, and you can tell like he's still like figuring it out, and he's just talking shit. It's like maybe 2-3 hours, and he's just late night like at this random comedy club in New York, and the people had no idea that like he just came in and was like, yo, I heard there was a comedy show, and I felt like coming through and telling some jokes.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? The crowd is like, yeah, we're just gonna fucking sit here. You know what I mean? Like, it's Dave. And like, you can see him literally just beginning to morph into the comedian that we see today in terms of like,
because that's jazz. That's live music. I love rap live.
yeah.
But seeing rap with a live band, like tomorrow, you know the Blue Note Jazz Club?
yeah.
I'm going to see Jizza and Talib Kweli with a full jazz band.
Oh, that's gonna be sexy.
That's gonna be
really sexy.
fucking crazy.
That's raw as fuck.
And that's
And
like,
it's just
that's
his
Dave
birthday
Chappelle going up and doing 3 hours raws, because like any of those musicians can do what they want, and it's gonna be different than any other performance than they've ever given.
My live set has changed so much since I started playing guitar and like doing the MPC live. And I wanted, because I had seen like cats like FKJ like do their thing, and like even like shout out Ruben Dax, Neon Vines. I'm trying to think of who else I've seen that's been like super inspirational, who are like doing shit like live looping.
Brady Watts.
Brady's dope.
The bass, shout out Brady.
Yeah. And so like seeing that just helped me like see a path of like what I wanted to do in terms of like being able to like do live. And I enjoy it too, because like it means that like my rapping can like, my whole set can kind of be more freeform a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like it's not confined to like a track that has, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, you can
I have to give the DJ 4 tracks, and I'm doing the set, and this DJ doesn't know me, and so like, I gotta give him the tracks in perfect order, or you know what I mean?
I can't wait to see you live.
You haven't seen me live yet, man?
Never.
Okay.
I saw Anderson .Paak, and he plays the drums while he raps.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
There was a point where I was like trying to figure out how to rap and play guitar at the same time, and I was like getting frustrated as fuck.
Lil Wayne style.
I mean, yeah, because Wayne never even really rapped and played at the same time. But I mean, like he probably helped inspire the notion of me picking up a guitar.
I think he's one of the greatest. I don't care what people say.
No, Wayne's one of the greatest. Period. But I mean, just when he had that moment, like it was definitely inspirational. But I really wanted to take it to a place, and like stay with it and be nasty with it. I just felt like I owed that as a contribution to culture.
Yeah.
To be like black and fly and rap good as fuck and play the guitar good as shit. Like, I don't know. That just seemed like a mission that was like worth. And I picked up the guitar after 30, right?
And it's hard to learn a new habit.
Yeah, but like passion, right? Like passion. And I happen to really, really like it. But so as I'm like trying to figure out how to rap and play guitar, and like I see Anderson .Paak like drumming and rapping, and I'm like, yo, if you figure that out, then like you know what I mean? Like if it's humanly fucking possible, then like I could do it. Like I seen another human like doing some shit, which means that like somewhere it's just a matter of patience and then the belief level. Like a lot of times like you just if I'm stuck on something like on a video game, sometimes you just be like, yo, today's the day. Fuck it. Today's the day I'm gonna figure this shit out. Like,
yeah. Or it's like comedy when you first go up and you're bombing and you're like, what the fuck? And you just realize you gotta stick through it. Like you gotta, and I still like, my jokes aren't anywhere close to someone who's been doing it like professional level, but now I know how to work a crowd a little better, and I know if I continue the grind, then I will get to that place where I'm competent to a level that's important.
And not just that, like,
and I know we're wrapping up soon, right, Irish? We're getting cool.
If anything, and like Robert Greene's book Mastery.
Wait, what were you saying? Sorry, because I love books. I want to hear this.
Robert Greene's book Mastery.
Okay.
Really hits on this, but just especially when you get to a certain level in your craft. It's not even just, it's so much more pleasurable to do. Like, I mean, I'm sure, like, you know the feeling like when you suck at something, it's not even pleasurable to practice, but like you have that vision in your head almost of like for me, like I remember like when I couldn't even do like a C chord, and I was like, I just want to wake up and like play some cool, you know what I mean? Or like if there's some girl over, I just want to be able to like on a whim like just play like some cool shit, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like I can do that now at the very least. But like as you like get one level, you want levels and levels higher, and like you know the God level of when like you can work a room comfortably, you got great material.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What I like, and what the hatred, that self-hatred that in a good way pushes me, is I like that, as I say, whenever I'm at the top of a hill, there's a mountain next to it. Like,
exactly. That's what we were talking about with the valleys and the peaks. Like,
yeah,
you
like
get
this.
up, and then you're like, okay.
Like when I was at that mushroom festival, I was tripping on mushrooms and I climbed an expert level mountain.
Okay.
And I had only climbed one mountain before in my life, and like getting like a quarter of the way up, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And mountain? I'm tripping.
Okay.
And I'm tripping, and I get to the top, and I'm looking out over it. And it was fucking, like, it's one of those, like, when you're tripping, you're like, I get it, but
I'm also tripping.
I'm to the top of the mountain, and I see a taller mountain next to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I want to do another mountain now.
Yes.
Like, that was like, and at first I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that shit.
You didn't even think you were going to be able to do the first one. Now
yeah. And that's fucking, it's high Thoughts with Sam Buck. Welcome to the spinoff podcast.
The spinoff podcast, High Thoughts.
You have a new I just turned to like a real radio host. Like,
yeah.
You have a new album coming out.
Acid is out now. Yeah.
Acid is out. I love that.
Yeah, it's a dope album. I did a regimen every week. The Thursday before, I would get the house together, go to the record shop, buy a record. Just I like buying new records, set the vibe. Do stuff to get the vibe right, you know, get sages and shit. And then on Friday, like, I trip and make music. And I just produce and jam, and I do these solo jams. And I create, and I be trying to push like my creativity and push like the sound. And I did this for maybe like 4 Fridays. And then I started having writing sessions. And I wake up at 4 a.m. religiously. And like that just became the time where like it felt great to write. And I had like a chair, and I sit in that chair and like write. And I pushed myself to do the album in like a 2-month time span. I have it sent out, you know, to have the features done, and shout out all the features for like crushing it. Homeboy Sandman, that was the first song.
Oh, that's a great track.
Yeah, like I had done the first acid session, and then maybe later that week, like he was just like, we just kicking it at the crib, and he was like, yo, play some beats. Like I wasn't even, you know what I mean, like trying to get like a Homeboy Sandman feature. He's just like, yo, play some beats. And so I was playing some beats. And you know, that one in particular, like I knew it was wild, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna fuck with this, but he was like, yo, that's the one, keep that on. And I was like, okay. And like I didn't even realize, but he had took one of my rhyme books and like wrote his verse in it, and was like, yo, I got a verse done. Like, the fuck, this is my rhyme book, you know what I mean?
And he killed that.
Yeah.
All the features did. Noir.
Oh my gosh, what a beast. I'm gonna drop that video soon.
When did that come out? That came out.
That was the first single.
I mean, the album came out couple months ago.
July 2nd. So about a month and some change ago. Almost 2 months, because it's September 2nd. It's not right around the corner. But yeah, it came out. Shout out to Trevor Lang. Did a lot of joints in his basement and just had them as an ear. Shout out Sauce, brother Sauce Heist.
Shout out Sauce Heist.
Shout out Jordan Commandeer for doing the art. You know what I mean? Putting up with my shit. A lot of times it just act as consultant and like hear all my wild fucking ideas.
Yeah.
Answer whatever fucking questions I may have, and then try and turn those shits into reality. Like, yo, bro, I want to do something larger than life with this album. I don't know what the fuck to do. Fuck. Get a text message a day later like, yo, bro, you want to do a billboard in Times Square?
That is what you had 2, right?
Yeah. The second one was for a show that I was on, and somebody put up like a billboard there, but I thought that was cool as shit.
Still.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I mean, just the fact that it was twice, like within like, you know, a
billboard in time, other than you and fucking West Side, like.
Yeah, shout out Gun. That was super inspiring. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's epic, man. So it was just something cool to do, and then like I knew that we had a chance to make art, you know. So like Trevor and I really cooked up something special, and then like I wanted to really do it super meta and like Inception like, and like make sure that we made the video that was on the billboard, and then we made a music video around that, and so that, you know what I mean, we could really capture that moment and just have that imagery and you know, make the most out of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then shit, I'd be lying if I said I ain't do something insane in my confidence, like just being up on like the jumbo screen like that, and just
I bet. And you got this space,
knowing that anything was possible. Well, I mean, like this is after that, like just knowing, I mean, like
in the past
is
year,
possible.
like fucking.
It's been a hell of a year, man. It's been a hell of a year. But
and
like you said about the mountaintops,
yeah. And you're going on tour
with so I'll drop this announcement, man. Fuck it. I got a tape with Jamal Gasol coming out.
That's gonna be insane.
Sometime in the near future. It's called Oxtail. We got a cover from Squat Dead.
Real shout out Squat.
That's just insane. And then
when we're off camera, can I see that?
Yeah.
All
yeah.
Right. How do you guys link up, you and Jamal?
Well, one, like I said, that show that Tony Boy put together way back when.
That's a historic show.
It really is. I want to tell him about that. That one in particular, and I think we like crossed paths there at first, and then like, you know, just stayed in tune via social media, and then I just really had a lot of respect for his work ethic. Matter of fact, I got the Piffers here, his papers. I'm a big fan of them joints, just period. So I'll rep for his brand. But yeah, man, I just reached out and I was like, yo, I think you're fucking dope. I feel like I can make some beats and some music with you that'll like be different and really like, I just see what your shit's doing. And then like he took the leap. He came out to New York first, rocked out at the compound, you know what I mean, chilled on the stoop, took him to get some oxtail. We ended up calling the project that. And man, I just huge respect for his work ethic, man. That's just crazy. I feel like that tape is crazy after the year that's been happening. Like the fact that tape is gonna come out is just insane.
When is it coming out?
Soon. Is this still August?
Yeah.
Probably September. Probably before September is over, it's gonna come out. We just getting the last of everything right.
Damn. Staying busy with your work.
But I know we already got like 3 videos in the can. Like I said, Squat did the cover. I'll let you see that off camera. And then me and CG did a tape that's all I can say is that we started on we co-produced everything together. Like, and that motherfucker is a fucking machine, bro. Like I had so much fun. It's somebody so easy to work with and was so seamless, and we just had fun. Like those sessions were fun as fuck. So that's all I'll say is like I'm gonna end the year out with those 2 projects.
I can't wait to hear those. I can't wait to hear that you and CG tape too. And CG will be on the Bucked Up EP. And for that, like, it's a lot of other dope MCs that we're gonna have on there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm on a couple of joints, but I really wanted to get like a lot of my favorite MCs. And like can you drop any names?
No. You got the Jamal Gasol tape.
I understand. I gave you that one full out. I'm not pushing any.
I gave you that one full out.
All right.
But
but I'm gonna keep it running after we. I'm just
Now you're not getting anything.
I'm just fucking with you.
Yo, Buck,
I still need you to allegedly administer my acid trip.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. I got you.
Allegedly, it's not gonna happen.
Dun dun dun. Or I've been eating chocolate mushrooms lately. Those are really good.
Those
too.
are fucking good.
But I mean, at this point, like, I'm not gonna front. I've been like a lot of people's like shaman or like, like
You gotta do DMT.
I do. But I really want to do ayahuasca first though. I want that.
You should get a short trip before you get the long one.
I feel like, and I've definitely like achieved DMT through like breath work because I know that molecule is actually like a thing. But I know the difference too between like using drugs to get
when someone
like I've gotten high as fuck meditating. I'm not gonna lie.
I have too. But
I've achieved Zen states.
I have too.
And
but it's when it's like you can be so high on edibles, it's the same as a mushroom trip, and then you're in a mushroom trip and you're like, this is not the same. That's the exact. That's the exact. Because I've gotten to those states meditating, and nothing is as real as fucking me sitting across from my higher power like this. Like,
I know exactly what you mean. Like I said, that last shit that D Swift gave me, man. Like, I changed. I didn't know I could Shout out D-Split for that. So next time I trip though, I'm going somewhere where I could like be out in the woods. And
if you do it up in New England, I'm popping out.
Yo, we'll holler. We'll do something.
Thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you for coming out.
We got to do another one in the future, but this was awesome.
This was amazing, man. This was just good vibes.
Just a great chill.
Bang, bang. All right, we're going to get off camera and get more fucked up. Peace out, you guys. Do something responsible with yourselves.
Shout out everyone in this room for listening to this conversation.
Hey, CC88 Gallery is always vibes, man. It's
shout out CC88 Gallery Space. It's fucking amazing. Dope.
Shout out Sam Buck and the Bucked Up Podcast. The whole crew is dope. Love y'all.
Listen to Acid by Deuce Ellis.
Yeah, go tap in.
Peace.